All right, so this is going to be my official Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith prediction. This is for the unified 175-pound WBC, WBO, and IBF lightweight championships of the world. Artur Beterbiev at this point in time has been a long-reigning champion, a well-respected one of my favorite fighters in the sport of boxing, period. I think he's a gentleman through and through, and he's always damn sure fun to watch, my people. But let's start by going through the tail of the tape as soon as Elon Musk's cousin gets off my screen. Thank you. Artur Beterbiev stands at 6 foot even. He has a 73-inch reach. He is 38 years of age. His record reads 19 wins. And 19 wins coming by way of knockout. Callum Smith stands at 6'3". He has a 78-inch reach. He's 33 years of age. His record reads 29 wins and 1 defeat, with 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Now, the 1 defeat that Callum Smith has did come by way of Canelo Alvarez, and there's no shame in losing to one of the greatest fighters of your era. You know what I'm saying? But I also want to point this out, that this is the best match that Artur Beterbiev could have taken in the 175-pound division, aside of Dimitri Bivol. All right. I'm very, very much looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to be a great. It's the number 1 and the number 3 guy in the division. It's an outstanding fight. It's a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous fight for both men. You know, Callum Smith, I thought Callum Smith lost to John Ryder. I thought he looked absolutely horrendous against Canelo Alvarez. I was expecting a lot more from him that night, and he didn't show up. You know, maybe that was due to the weight cut, but now that Callum Smith has moved up to the 175-pound division, he does have the legendary Buddy McGirt training him, former world champion, and an out-legendary trainer, and has been for many, many years. So this is about as good of a light heavyweight fight as you're going to get. It is the best light heavyweight fight you're going to get, aside of Beterbiev Bivol. And I don't care what nobody has to say with regards to that. Now, Callum Smith does have a 5-inch reach advantage over Beterbiev. He's a couple inches taller, but Beterbiev is very stocky, you know, and they both got a lot of power between the two of them. A lot of firepower between these two guys. Callum Smith has a lethal left hook, and Beterbiev has very, very underrated boxing skills and durability as well. I think this is going to be an absolute war. I think there's going to be ebbs and flows in this fight. I think it's going to be a very competitive match, back and forth, through and through. I do think that especially in the first handful of rounds, okay, Artur Beterbiev is going to have to be very, very cautious of Callum Smith's power. He cannot lunge in, leave his hands down, and leave himself open to a counter or a check left hook for Callum Smith, because that shot can put your lights out in one go. You know what I'm saying? It's a very dangerous fight, especially in those early 4 or 5 rounds. It's going to be a dangerous fight for Beterbiev, and we saw some of that in the Anthony Yarde fight as well. You know, it was a good war through 3 or 4 rounds. Then Beterbiev kind of took over, steamrolled him the last few rounds, and knocked him out. I'm also glad that this fight's happening in Beterbiev's hometown of Montreal, you know, away from Russia, Mother Russia, obviously, Chechnya, whatever. So I am happy it's in Quebec, or wherever it is in Canada, Montreal, wherever the hell it is. I think that's going to give Beterbiev a little bit of incentive. And it wouldn't have been fair for Beterbiev to have to go to England to fight Yarde and then go back to England to fight Callum Smith. So they did the right thing by having Callum Smith come to Canada to fight Beterbiev in front of his home crowd, you know. And very smart move on their part. And I think that this is going to be a very dangerous fight for both men, especially in the early rounds, okay? I think there's a very high possibility that Callum Smith catches Beterbiev with something, hurts him, and maybe even gets him out of there in the first 4 or 5 rounds. The longer this fight goes, the more the pendulum swings into Beterbiev's favor. But those first 4 or 5 rounds, man, are going to be extremely tough on Beterbiev. It's not going to be a walk in the park. He is going to get hit by Callum Smith. He is going to have to eat a few hooks from Callum Smith, and his durability and his toughness and his grit is going to have to show up in this fight if he wants to be victorious, bro. This is a different man than the one that fought Canelo Alvarez. He's hungry. He's not weight drained. He's got Buddy McGirt in his corner, and he's putting people in comas. The last 2 dudes he fought, Lennon Castillo, somebody Bivol went the distance with, and the Frenchman, his name is escaping me. I mean, he knocked those 2 dudes cold out, spark out. So this is going to be a dangerous fight for Beterbiev in the first few rounds. Beterbiev's going to have to do what he does best, which is coming forward. Now, and he's also going to have to be cautious while coming forward, because Callum Smith could walk him into one of those deadly knockout power left hooks that he has. However, as I said before, I do think Callum Smith is going to be a very dangerous opponent in the first 4 or 5 rounds. I think Beterbiev's going to really have to walk through the fire in the first half of this fight. I could see it being even after 6, okay? Maybe both guys get buzzed. It's 3-3 on the scorecards. Once you make it into the back half of that fight, it becomes Beterbiev's. Now you're in Beterbiev's playing ground. So, this is a hard fight to predict. It's a dangerous, dangerous fight for both men, not to keep repeating myself. To me, this is like a 60-40 Beterbiev, okay? I don't see any way this fight goes the distance. I think somebody's going to sleep. One way or the other, there's too much power between the 2 of them to handle, okay, for it to go to the cards, all right? I think that, like I said, I think Beterbiev's going to he's going to have a couple of scares early on. He's going to have to chew through some early adversity in those first 4 or 5 rounds. He's probably going to get his bell rung a couple of times, and his toughness and his durability and his grit's going to have to show up, all right? And he's going to have to watch out for that rocket left hook of Callum Smith's. With that said, I do think Beterbiev is going to chew through it. I do think his toughness and his durability in front of his home crowd will give him a little extra incentive. So I'm taking Artur Beterbiev to win this fight by an 11th round TKO. I think once you get to the back half of the fight, Beterbiev will have taken over. I think the pressure will have gotten to Callum Smith. I think the body shots will have worn Callum Smith down. His shots won't have the steam on them they did at one time. And that's where Beterbiev's going to capitalize on it and get him out of there late. And I think this is going to be a brutal back and forth affair where both guys are going to have their moments. And I'm not going to be shocked if Callum Smith pulls off the upset. He's a big boy. He's filled into the weight class. He's got a Hall of Fame trainer in his corner now. He's put his last 2 opponents into comas. And you know, it's a dangerous fight. So I'm not going to be shocked at all if Callum Smith pulls off the upset here. But for my official prediction, I'm going with Artur Beterbiev, late TKO after a brutal back-and-forth affair between the number 1 and number 3 light heavyweights in the world. You guys let me know what you think in the comments section. Please be sure to hit the like and subscribe. God bless you all, and I'll see you at the fights.